At this time, I'll call to order the St. Louis City Port Authority for its regularly scheduled meeting on February 8, 2024, held via Zoom. May we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Williams,
Present.
Commissioner Kay,
Present.
Commissioner Seymour,
Aye.
Chair McBride.
Present. We'll take up the approval of minutes for our meeting held on January 11, 2024. Is there a motion to approve?
I make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second, Williams.
It's properly moved and seconded. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Williams,
Aye.
Commissioner Kay,
Aye.
Commissioner Seymour,
Aye.
Chair McBride.
Aye. Motion passes and the resolution is approved, and the minutes are approved. We'll take up resolution 24 PT6 relating to the third amendment to the contract with HDR Engineering. Susan, can you walk us through that, please?
Yes, good morning, everyone. We met with HDR, the engineer, and the street department to go over the proposed new trash transfer building on the higher ground, about 250 yards west of the current location at South Refuse. And so HDR took Bethany's requirements, comments, et cetera, and worked up a draft concept. That's can you show that draft concept? Yes, me. We're trying a new audio visual process. So we're gonna. There it is.
Okay, you're sharing the screen. Very good.
Yes, yes. And so the existing trash transfer building is just out of the drawing to the south. I'm sorry, to the east, to the bottom of the picture. And so what you see is a new trash transfer building that HDR has worked up. And what we're asking the commission now to do is to give us the authorization to proceed with fleshing out that design, coming up with plans and specs. The scope of work is also an exhibit in your packet. The total dollar amount is an up to dollar amount of $899,657.70. And at around about the beginning of June, the drawings should be about 30% complete. So then we go back to the street department and say, is this what we want? Is this working out? Are there any changes we want to make? And we get a proposed construction cost. So for now, the resolution before you asks for approval to amend the contract. And on page 2 of the resolution, part 1, under now therefore, we want to say authorizes an increase by an amount not to exceed $899,000. So it's not the total contract amount, it's just by this particular amount for this phase of the new trash transfer buildings development.
Could you repeat that, Susan?
Sorry, on page 2 of the resolution under now therefore, paragraph 1, there's a mistake in the wording in the last sentence. So we're authorizing an increase by the new wording. We'd like to strike in the total contract, strike those 4 words, and instead use the words by and, so that the sentence reads, authorizes an increase by an amount not to exceed $899,000.
I see. Okay. Very good.
Susan, I have a question for you.
Sure.
What do you expect the finished cost of this project to be in its totality? I know you don't have the estimates yet, the bids, but at least what do you, in your mind's eyes, what do you expect it to be?
Early on, HDR was giving us a cost in the range of $6 to $10 million. And that initially included land acquisition, and there's no land acquisition needed in this project, and so that dropped the cost. The cost of steel keeps, going up, and so at this point, we're still sticking to that $6 to $10 million range. And that's the main reason why we're doing the 30% complete review to see what our costs are. We're not gonna, sign any contracts for any work that we don't have the money in hand for. So that's a very general spread, I'm sorry to say, but we'll just have to work through it and see how the costs shape out.
And are the funds available?
Yes, we have the 5.76 million in ARPA funds. And we have state funds. I'm limited in the state funds. I can only apply once a year. So I couldn't apply for the whole project. And so we have money in hand at the moment of 640,000 for this fiscal year. July 1st, I have another million coming to the port. We already have another 400,000 in hand from a past project. And I was in Jeff City the last couple of days talking to all of our legislators. And we are pursuing several other grant options. So unfortunately, the state funding is piecemeal, whereas the ARPA funding is all there, we have it.
Oh, okay, all right, so I see with the numbers you mentioned here, I think they're about $2 million you think it will be available, plus the 5.7, right?
Yeah, it's a little over 2 million. I have 400,000, 404,000. So and that triggers the 404 for ARPA. So I have state money. I have about 2.4 million, and then the ARPA, the 5.76. And there's between now and the development, the conclusion of this new trash transfer building, I have several opportunities to get more funds from the state.
I'm going to go back and ask you a very basic question. Why do we need a new trash transfer building?
The existing trash transfer building is on a site that the Port Authority would like to develop
Okay.
into a riverfront commerce property. The existing trash transfer building is in a floodplain, and it's between the river and a active Union Pacific Railroad line. And so the goal is to relocate the functions of the existing South Refuse on that high ground. That site that you're looking at is,
Yeah.
I don't know, 30, 40 feet higher. It's out of the floodplain. So it's never good to have your garbage in a floodplain.
Yeah.
So was that one reason, and then ultimately we'd like to turn that into a Port Authority lease for a freight handler that uses the river and the railroad.
And are you going to try to remediate being in the floodplain too for that site? Or-
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right, very good, thank you.
And then who will maintain the trash transfer whenever it's ultimately completed?
Well, it's a functioning, it's part of the refuse division's functioning location. And it's in that part of the city to make the logistics of hauling trash off to the landfill work better, more efficiently. So it would be used. It's an ongoing part of the refuse division.
Okay, so my question is though, who will maintain it going forward? The refuse division?
Bethany, may I speak for you and say yes?
So,
Okay, I see Commissioner Williams' hand up.
yes, thank you. So the streets department, the refuse division falls under the streets department umbrella. And so we will continue to maintain the building once it is handed over to us from the Port Authority.
Very good. Any other questions from the commissioners on this resolution? Hearing none, we're going to first amend the resolution as Susan has suggested. So first, I'd entertain entertain a motion to amend the now therefore clause 1 so that the total contract amount is stricken and instead the language by an amount is inserted. So is there a motion to amend?
Motion to approve. Second, I don't,
Okay,
Yeah.
looks like it's moved by Commissioner Seymour and seconded by Commissioner Williams. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Cone,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams,
aye.
Commissioner Kay,
Aye.
Commissioner Seymour,
Aye.
Chair McBride.
Aye. All right, and then at this time, I would entertain a motion to approve amended resolution 24 PT 06.
Tell me, what was that one again? I'm sorry, I,
We're
back to
we're approving the amended motion, so we're approving what we've just amended. So amended motion 24 PT 06.
motion to approve. Williams,
Second.
It's been seconded by Commissioner Kay. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Cone,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams,
aye.
Commissioner Kay,
Aye.
Commissioner Seymour,
Aye.
Chair McBride.
Aye. And the motion passes and the amended resolution is approved. All right. Well, let's take up resolution 24 PT 07 relating to a port improvement district project agreement. Susan, are you going to walk us through that?
Yes, about 2 years ago, the soccer team had requested the creation of a port improvement district. And we started that process in May of 2022 with a resolution. And after that process got going, some land issues were discovered, and so the petition to create, there's a petition step, and that step was not taken in order to resolve the land issues. So they have been now kind of reshaped. And here representing the Port Authority's Bond Council is Mark Spikerman, and Bill Keeling and Jason Teen is here for the soccer team. And so could I request that the commission hear Mark Spikerman's description of what's happening?
Sure. Mr. Sprackman, would you fill us in on what's happening?
Thank you, Chairman McBride. As Susan mentioned, we went through this process back almost 2 years ago, right before we were about to file the PID petition in the court. It came to our attention that the legal description attached to that petition was defective. There were some issues. If you can picture the stadium, 22nd Street is the western boundary of the stadium. There were 22nd Street had been partially relocated as the stadium was constructed. There was a land swap down at the sort of southwest corner near 22nd and Market with Drury. There was another land issue, all very minor. We're talking, fractions of an acre, but legal descriptions have to be exactly right. There's another little issue around Pine and 22nd. And then there was another issue way down at the southern boundary of the proposed PID, which is Interstate 64, Highway 40 with MoDOT property. Since that time, all that has been cleared up. The team and the city consolidated all parcels. There was a consolidation plat filed. We now have good surveyed legal descriptions. We're confident what we say is the boundaries will be the boundaries. And so now it's time to, pending board approval here, sort of restart the process for creating that PID. So the resolution before you does two things. One, it authorizes restarting the PID process, which the next step would be to actually hold a public hearing at your March meeting. And it also goes ahead and approves a PID agreement with the team. That agreement, very consistent, absolutely consistent with what was anticipated 2 years ago, was that the PID would impose a 1% sales tax within its boundaries, again, within the stadium, beer, hot dogs, at the stadium. Money generated from that sales tax would go to reimburse the team for the cost of redirecting, treating, and cleaning the spring water that was found near the northeast corner of the stadium. That water has to be collected and treated before it can be discharged into the MSD system. It's a very expensive endeavor. Bill or Jason here can go into much more technical detail than I can on it.
Very good. Mr. Keeling, Mr. Teen, which of you would like to fill in any blanks that are left for me?
Board of Commissioners, good morning. Thank you very much for having us this morning. Just to kind of recap what Mr. Spikerman was saying, during the construction process, while digging a little, we didn't dig too far down, but we hit some bedrock and broke through and found a spring, an artisan spring that is putting out about 100 to 200,000 gallons a day. That water, because downtown St. Louis is an old city, every lot used to be a gas station, a dry cleaner, a printer or something. That water has some level of contaminants in it. MSD required that the water be cleaned before going into the dual sewer system, and so we had to build a. And let me tell you, it was a rough day when we found all this. We had to build a system to take the water out of the ground, pump it into a oil water separator, which is below ground underneath the plaza, and then it goes into a odor mitigation vault before going into MSD's system. And there's also a collection vault under the pitch, actually, in case the pumps fail and all that. And so it's a pretty extensive system that had to be built. I think that covers it.
Well, and the cost of actually purifying to the MSD standards is not inconsequential.
Yeah, there are a few different costs. So obviously we have to monitor the level of contaminants. The oil water separator, for example, it's got a sand system in there that has to be cleaned or replaced periodically. And then there's a cost of just putting the water into the system, which is the highest cost of all of that. Depending on the flow, that'll vary. It's I forget, it's like $7 per thousand or something. And that adds up quickly. That'll be hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. But the upside is we are literally cleaning millions of gallons of water a year.
And I'll just add, a pollution control project like this is clearly within the Port Authority's statutory powers.
And could you repeat that, Mr. Sparkman? We couldn't hear you very well.
Sorry, I said a pollution control project like this is within the Port Authority's statutory powers.
Correct. Yeah, pollution controls within our statutory powers. Yeah, I recall this, or I had thought that when this came before us previously, were the costs associated with it in the realm of $14 million? That number sticks in my mind for some reason.
Yeah, I think the total cost of the system is close to $23 million. I think what we've capped here is 13. There may be some other recovery for some of the costs as well, but that will be no more than 10 million.
Okay. And my memory is that the way that this tax is set up is that it just lays on top of the existing taxes and won't take away from any existing taxes or any taxes where they'll be directed to. So it won't affect anything existing. They'll just add another 1% to, like Mr. Speckman said, hot dogs and whatever else concessions at the stadium.
And the question I have is, MLS is doing such wonderful things, undeniably. But would the cost become so prohibitive for the public to be able to attend a soccer game? with tax on top of tax on top of tax?
Commissioner Seymour, great question. So I think the tax with this added on would be 12.69 or something along those lines. Mark, does that sound correct?
That's in the ballpark, yeah.
Yeah, and well, the short answer is no, it won't become prohibitive. The pricing, we are obviously very aware that our pricing is relatively high, in line with the Cardinals, in line with the Blues, which is we do try, we have a lot of programs and things that we try to have outreach into the broader community to make sure our fan base is not just the 22,000 people that can attend a game.
Yeah.
And we have like the community corner, which we work with charities, and there's I think 100 or so tickets that are provided to charities so people can go to those games. But we're acutely aware of the price points, but I don't think this will be prohibitive, and I suspect we will be sold out next year and the year after, and going forward. And it hasn't, the sales tax before now was 11.69 or whatever, so it's just 1% more. We were second in merchandise sales in the league, and created $3.5 million of revenue for local food partners. And so I don't think it's prohibitive, but we are aware of the price points.
Yeah.
And
and
I'd like to,
Go ahead.
oh, pardon me. I was just going to add that this levy was one of the building blocks of the original financing package, which was negotiated with SLDC at the time. And it was part of an effort to, frankly, regionalize some level of support for the funding of the soccer stadium. As if you may recall, St. Louis County didn't contribute anything. Most of the fans that come to the soccer stadium are from outside the limits of the city of St. Louis. So it was thought that setting up these special districts that would only apply within the one way of having people who live outside of the city of St. Louis help support the funding for the soccer stadium.
No, I mean, I appreciate that, and I have followed, even though I was not on this board at the time, but I have followed the financing package and the fact that, the soccer stadium, they really didn't ask for much tax incentive from the city. And as a city resident, I'm very appreciative of that. But going forward, that was a concern. And but other than that, they're doing great work.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think the issue that Mr. Keeling raised as far as the capital stack, so to speak, for this is key in that there had been very little in the way of an ask from the soccer team until they hit the artisan well and found out that they were pumping, that there was hundreds of gallons a day being added to the MSD system. So are there any other questions from the commissioners on this project? All right, then we're going to restart the PID. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to approve resolution 24 PT 07. Is there a motion to approve?
I didn't want to make all the motions in the minutes this month, but motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. Is there a second?
I second it.
And Commissioner Seymour seconded. Very good. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Cone,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams,
Aye.
Commissioner Kay,
Aye.
Commissioner Seymour,
Aye.
Chair McBride.
Aye. And the motion passes and the resolution is approved. So we will restart the process. And
Thank you all very much.
Thank you, board.
Thank you.
Go team.
All right, we'll take up open agenda. Do we have anything in open agenda?
No, I do not. I don't know if Susan, you had anything to add to that.
I do. I have two things. First of all, there's a bid that's due for the Municipal River Terminals rail upgrade. And we didn't plan this very well. I'm sorry. It's due on Monday. And I didn't want to wait till the March meeting because then we'd lose a month of expending our funds, which have to be expended by June 15th. And so I'm asking if the commissioners would be willing to have a special session on Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. And if you want to tell me times that you're available, or I can get your availability after the meeting, but if you have your calendars in front of you now, anytime Tuesday, the 13th or Wednesday, the 14th, we'd like to have a meeting, a special session, and present to you the selected bid, or the most responsive bid for this rail project. We had a really good walkthrough. We had 5 or 6 rail companies bidding, or at least interested enough to walk through. So we can't proceed with that construction until we have commission approval. So is that amenable to the commissioners?
Susan, as I mentioned, I will be out of the country, so I will be out of pocket for the rest of February. So
Okay,
I can't attend. Sorry.
Yeah, if you'd like to circulate some dates and times, Susan, then I think that might be the best way to handle this.
okay, I will do that. And then the other thing I wanted to bring up is there's a typo. The next meeting is March 14th. I believe the packet says March 7th,
March 8th, but yeah, okay,
March 8th.
very
that-
duly noted. All
I
right, so
have.
commissioners, look out for the email from Susan to try to set a special session next week. And we'll re-adjourn at that time, and they'll have the correct March 14th date on the on that agenda. All right, anything else?
No,
Hearing
nothing.
none. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second,
Moved and seconded,
yes,
and we are adjourned. Thank you all.
thank you.
Have a good one.